Why do some men lose their sense of self-worth when their wives succeeds? Let's listen together and drop your thoughts in the comment section.
It starts slowly. She gets the promotion, lands the dream job, launches the business that takes off. Everyone is proud, including him at first. But over time, the energy shifts and he becomes quieter, more withdrawn, less affectionate. She senses something is off, but he says it's fine, only he's not. Deep down, he feels like he's losing something too. Not her love, not their home, but himself. And that raises a deeply uncomfortable question. Why do some men lose their sense of self-worth when their wives succeed? Why do some men lose their sense of self-worth when their wives succeed? In a world that often ties manhood to being the provider, the protector, and the leader, a woman's visible success can trigger unexpected emotions in her partner, especially if he is raised to believe that his value lies in outperforming, not partnering. It's not about envy, at least not in the childish sense of it. It's about identity, about what it means to be a man in a relationship where she's shining brighter at work, in public, sometimes even at home. For many men, this is uncharted territory. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed a shift in your relationship after a major success? Yours or your partner's? Did it bring you closer or quietly created a divide? If you're new here, make sure you follow us across all social media platforms, because we dive deeply into the emotional layers of love, growth, and partnership every week. Now let's get real. The traditional cultures, including many African, Asian, and Latin households, a man's role is heavily tied to leadership and provision. Even in Western societies, this expectation still lingers beneath the surface. A man who can't provide more than his wife may start to feel like he's falling short. His sense of being the man of the house becomes fragile. Her wings start to feel like subtle reminders of what he hasn't achieved yet. It doesn't mean he doesn't love her, but love is not always enough to override internalized beliefs about gender and power. For some men, her success creates a mirror, not a literal one, but a psychological one. It reflects back their own insecurities, their career frustrations, their emotional limitations, their unspoken fears about being left behind. Now, when a woman grows, evolves, or becomes more visible in the world, it can discomfort or confront her partner with his own stagnation. And if he doesn't know how to process that, the relationship can silently suffer. Sometimes this shows up as emotional distance. He stops celebrating her, avoids conversations about her achievements, shuts down when she shares new ideas or ambitions. Sometimes it shows up as control, subtle jabs, passive-aggressive comments, sudden disinterest in her goals, and in the worst cases, it escalates into outright sabotage or resentment. He may not say it loud, but the message is clear. Your success makes me feel smaller. Now let's go deeper. This isn't just a relationship issue, it's a societal one. From a young age, boys are taught to measure their worth through dominance, physical, financial, or intellectual. Vulnerability is discouraged. Collaboration is secondary to competition. And so when partnership demands emotional flexibility, empathy, and shared power, many men are simply unequipped. They haven't been taught that they will still be strong, masculine, and deeply loved without being the one on top. In marriages where the woman is thriving, the healthiest men are those who redefine what masculinity means to them. They embrace a new kind of leadership, one rooted in support, partnership, and confidence. They don't feel threatened by her shine because they know who they are outside of what they earn or how they are perceived. But for men who tie their identity to comparison, every one of her achievements can feel like a step away from him. If you're finding this conversation meaningful, drop a comment below or tag someone who needs to hear it. We're not here to point fingers, but to open hearts, because self-worth and love shouldn't be at war. Now let's talk about another layer: emotional literacy. In many relationships, women tend to communicate more about their inner world. They process, they verbalize, they seek support. Men, on the other hand, are often conditioned to suppress, endure, and distract. So when a man feels insecure or inferior in the face of his partner's success, he may not even have the language to express what's going on. Instead, he retreats, maybe in silence, maybe into work, maybe even into someone else's arms. But because he doesn't, not because he doesn't love his wife, but because he doesn't know how to love himself while she is soaring. Some women in these dynamics begin to shrink themselves, they minimize their wings, downplay their income, apologize for their ambition, all in an effort to preserve the peace. But that only deepens the dysfunction. A love that requires self-erasure is not partnership, it's a silence hostage situation, and over time, both people begin to resent each other. One for feeling unseen, and then the other for feeling inadequate. It's important to say this clearly: a woman's success is not a threat to her partner's worth, but it can reveal the cracks in how he views himself. Let's not overlook how this plays out in the African diaspora, especially in places like the US, the UK, and Canada. Immigrant couples often face role reversals. Women may adapt faster, get hired first, or pursue education, while husbands struggle to re-establish careers. These shifts aren't anyone's fault, they are systemic. But if not handled with emotional maturity, they create a deep rift. And then the husband feels disempowered, the wife feels unsupported, and soon love turns into blame. Even well-meaning family members from back home may unintentionally stoke the fire. He's the man, or why is she doing everything? Doesn't he feel ashamed? These remarks carry pressure and shame. Diaspora couples already navigating emotional complexity now feel they're being judged by distant relatives who don't understand the terrain. It adds another layer of silent tension, of feeling the need to explain or defend a partnership that doesn't fit cultural norms. So what can couples do when success becomes a source of pain instead of pride? First, let's talk about it. Not once, not in passing, but regularly, openly, without ego. Create space to check in about how each other is feeling in the relationship. Is there emotional safety? Is there room to express fear without shame? Is success being celebrated or weaponized? Second, affirm each other beyond roles, and men need to hear they're valued for more than income. Women need to be seen beyond support roles. When both people feel emotionally seen and appreciated, there is less need to compete. The relationship becomes a sanctuary, not a scoreboard. Third, seek counseling or coaching, especially in cross-cultural or diaspora marriages. Professional guidance can help unpack years of gendered conditioning. Therapy isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And in today's world, emotionally literate men are not just desirable, they are necessary. And finally, redefine success together. What does thriving mean for your partnership? Is it one person climbing alone, or both growing in ways that honor who they are? Build a shared vision, one where no one has to shrink and no one has to dominate. Let me close with this. A man who feels small when his wife succeeds hasn't lost her. He has lost touch with the truth of who he is. And until he finds the truth again with compassion, courage, and curiosity, every success in the relationship will feel like a threat instead of a triumph. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can teach our sons a different model of manhood. We can heal the wounds our fathers carried. We can build partnerships rooted in confidence, not control. And we can normalize success without shame, love without ego. Because when one partner wins, the relationship should win, not weaken. Now, follow us across all social media platforms for more emotionally intelligent conversations about love, gender, and healing in modern relationships. Share this with someone who needs it and tell us below. Have you ever felt this tension in your own relationship? What helped you move through it? Your story matters, so does your growth. Let's keep growing together. Until next time, do stay in touch with this channel.
That was so intense. Do well to say what you feel in the comments below. Thank you for watching.